Yo guys, what's going on? It's Ranger W here with a D-League analysis. I know you guys are pumped to be here. It's a lot of fun. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Hopefully I get to 50 views on this video, because I get a lot of views on these videos. I don't know why. Alright, so we're gonna start this off. Actually, we're not gonna start this off. We're gonna introduce our guest. How you doing, Levonant?
Man, life is good in the hood. What can I say? Ranger, thank you for having me back, buddy, for IPSL Season 2. This is my favorite league, A, because it gave me my start on YouTube, and B, because I love you so much, buddy.
Alright, that is great news there. Alright, well, how you doing, Regitube?
I'm good. Thanks for bringing me to this league. And also thanks to Levo for having the MCL, which brought me to be your assistant coach there.
Man, I love having guys like you, Reggie, because I love having someone like you who's just excited about this week in, week out. I love you, bud.
Yeah, man. By the way, we gotta start prepping for our next battle against Psychic, just to throw that in there, guys. It's gonna be a fun week, fun week in general, because IPSL D-League just had their draft, I believe, 2 or 3 days ago. And we're here to look at the teams. We're not going to necessarily rank them this time around. We are going to talk a little bit about each team, because we thought ranking was going to be a little unfair, because there's no way to rank, especially a team with 16. It's nearly impossible to rank it properly or do justice to the ranking. So we decided, you know what? Since this is D-League, we're just going to talk about a little bit of the teams. We're going to talk about some weaknesses, some things they need to work on possibly, and some teams that are just godlike, aka Reggie's team. All right, so right now we're going to start this off with Dallas Starmies. I saw they picked up my main man's Volcanion. What's up with that, man? What do you think about Volcanion? What do you need to support Volcanion, Reggie?
Well, I feel you need a decent wall with it, at least, and something that can take ground type moves.
Definitely. And they did that. With the Swallow. Swallow doesn't take any ground type moves. It's immune, of course.
Yeah.
Mega Sceptile resists, but it's not a switch in at all. And Ferrothorn is a nice wall. It really works small. It's bulky. It fills up their core of Fire, Water, Grass core. Yeah, it's really good mod. Also, having Chansey is never ever a bad thing in any team, in any league. Kind of confused about Blastoise a little bit though, but well, what can we do there? Alright, so moving right along, let's talk about the LA Cleffas. Levo, can you talk a little bit about their team?
Absolutely. First off, now my vision's a little obscure because I have Virgo's little logos, the little thumbnails are hopped over on that side of my screen.
It's fine.
But you look over there, I really like his structure on this roster. He's got a lot of things that I appreciate. A little weak on the fire side, but if he knows how to use Magma Mortar, then why not? I would prefer a better Firebond, but he has some great stuff in Keldeo. He has some great stuff in Bisharp. He definitely has a great setup mon in Galvantula. A decent Fairy. I see a lot of speed on his team, a lot of versatility in Greninja and Garchomp, and of course in Braviary, and of course Uxie. Uxie, by the way, is just a fun mon to use. It's a low tier, and it's really cool to see him be able to put that to work. But he also has the best, one of the top 3 walls, of course, in the entire Draft League format in Mega Venusaur. I expect him to be definitely rocking the water grass core for pretty much all of his matches, if not most of them, with Garchomp being in there as kind of a suicide lead, and Galvantula as the initial pace blocker. So he's going to have a lot of fun with that. Really, I don't see too much of a flaw in his roster. If anything at all, it would be in just his. He's got a solid steel type. He's got an amazing dark type in Greninja. I really don't see a huge flaw in his roster. And the best part about it is that anything that is a flaw in his roster, Kecleon can make up for to a certain extent. So he's going to have, if he knows anything about battling this season, he'll be able to put some good things to work.
Keep in mind, though, his only way to remove, I believe, hazards, if I'm looking at this right, is defog Braviary. I don't know if Reggie sees anything else on there, but he doesn't have a reliable source to remove hazards besides that. So that's kind of interesting how that'll work out. Anyway, let's move right along to the Tulsa Tauros. I'll talk a little bit about this team. This team is just pure power. Getting the first round pick through a randomized draft. What is this, man? This man is crazy. He got straight up power in the first 2 rounds. Landorus, Incarnate, and Entei. What can't that core wall break through? You tell me. I'm kidding, alright. Tangrowth and Tentacool. Reliable spinner, bulky defensive mod. Amazing, amazing, amazing. And he gets Cryogonal, an amazing special wall to pair well with Tangrowth. My oh my. And then he gets the Mega Gardevoir, which weakens everything for Scarfloop with a sweep. Mence is just added on top of there. It's like sprinkled onto there. Manectric for that Volt turn core with Lando. And Yen Mega, Baton Pass? Baton Pass anyone? Question mark? It's a really good team. I would have preferred, I told him I would have preferred Sneasel over Cryogonal, but, you know, the spinner, having another spinner is not bad news at all. What do you got to say about this team, Regitube, real quick, before we move on?
Well, I mean, he sniped me pretty hard with Salamence. I was really looking to pick up Salamence with my next pick when he sniped it from me.
Yeah, definitely. That's like I say, man. Alright, but yeah, it is a little weak to knockoff, so beware, knockoff spam is coming your way, man. I don't think you have a resist to it. Maybe you're bug type. So
you're absolutely right. I mean, in playtests, and one thing I'm going to have to look into in the future is during some playtests, I was playtesting my OU part of my team. So obviously, Lando, I wasn't playtesting this week. But I definitely have to looking over how my roster works. For instance, Weavile pretty much destroys my entire roster, except with the exception of a few Mons. But it's pretty funny, you know. So obviously, whenever I play the team that has Weavile, it's all over.
Yeah, Weavile is just that crazy ice type. It's floating everywhere in the OU ladder. All right, so moving along. Speaking of Weavile, man, Golden Strict Glavile, they have Weavile over there. They have a really decent, really unique Dragon Fairy Steel core. Actually, they don't have a fairy. Never mind. A very interesting Steel and Dragon core. It's very interesting. Zygarde and Doublade. Never thought I'd see those two together. This guy just went for bulk, just complete bulk. His drafts like Xatu, Gastrodon, Zoroark, Mew, Mega Ampharos, a bulky Mega, I would say. Articuno, something, I believe the Tossatoros we're looking into. Mega, Bronzong, Tornadus Incarnate, something I'm running right now. And just so bulk. Sorry, I don't mean to lay through it, but there's a few sweepers here and there, but yeah, it's a really well-built team, but it's a little slow in my opinion. I know he has a few fast mons and like Zoroark and Dragon Dancing Zygarde and Weavile, but a little too slow for my liking. But
Actually,
he can make it work though.
Me, I'm more of a fan of. I prefer to have a well balanced there, and even when I pick up a slow mon, I don't want it to be a super slow mon. Definitely wanted to kill him after he picked up Articuno. Because as you know, me and Kuno have a bit of a love affair going on.
I just realized his only Ghost Spam is gonna be serious on this team because Weavile and Zoroark are his only resist, I believe. Yeah, that's great, and they don't want to take many hits either. All right, what do you got to say about this, Regitube?
Mega Ampharos I've actually used in a few leagues now, and one set that I actually like bringing a lot is Sub Agility with Thunderbolt and Dragon Pulse. And I feel like with the agility up, you outspeed the base 100s, or you can even just calc it in with the right EVs to just outspeed them if the opponent has a threatening base 100.
The biggest issue with his team, and it's going to be really fun, obviously having a mon like Zoroark is going to be able to just make confusion happen every single week. Zoroark is probably going to be in his roster 9 times out of 10 every single week, purely because of the fact that it causes issues. That's what it does. It's there to cause problems. And because of that, he's going to have some serious fun with just being able to put that to work. I 100% expect it almost every week. Definitely, I think he's going to pair it up as he's probably going to pair it up with Mew, as kind of Mew being the backup. Because Zoroark is resistant to Mew's, one of Mew's weaknesses.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I see that happening.
And if he really wants to play it smart, he could really just put it behind which mon do you think that he would put it behind, Reggie? If you were really going to pick out a mon each and every week to put it behind as kind of the fake out one right there, which one would you have Zoroark and Possible as?
Possibly Xatu or Gastrodon. Because Xatu could bluff the Magic Bounce, so they probably wouldn't go for Toxic or Rocks against you. As well as Gastrodon to scout for the HP grass.
Right. that definitely works out pretty well. I mean, Zork definitely makes any team great, and I actually wanted it for my roster. I was getting ready to, I was actually curious, wanting to sacrifice points to get them, but he did a great job getting that Mon, and got me on Kuno as well. Kuno, in my opinion, it came down to Kragno or Kuno for filling that ice defogger role, and that ice hazard remover that I wanted, and he got that one right there. And so, great job on you there, you chicken sandwich head.
All right. Yeah. So, man, let's move right along, man, to the Houston Rotoms. We're moving on to the Johto division here. Picking up one of my favorite Mons in League format, actually, recent favorite, in Excadrill, Haxorus, and Clefable Core. What a core that is. It's Shaman, Typhlosion, and Milotic. What a core that is, too, man. He's got all the cores. He's got walls. He's got Mega Pidgeot. What do you got to say about this, Levonant?
Well, you know, if you really look over the Houston Rotoms team, I believe that the executive Virgo actually was the drafter for this roster.
What a great team, yes.
I did not understand who they franchise tagged. They franchise tagged Typhlosion in this one. Typhlosion is usually an undrafted Pokemon in a lot of leagues, so I feel like that was a waste of points and a franchise tag.
Yeah,
but that's just me. You know, definitely always a fan of Excadrill. Excadrill is a mean, nasty, dirty, stinky, rotten, salt vest wearing bastard. You know, he's basically Die Hard. All right, if you put Bruce Willis into a Pokemon game, he'd be Excadrill wearing an assault vest. All right, that's who Bruce Willis is Excadrill right there. You know, he's got the Melodic for just a dirty, rotten core right there, which is going to force somebody to have to rock either Freeze Dry or Energy Ball or Thunderbolt every single week, and even then he can spam it with some serious stall outs. Haxorus and Shaman cause issues. And of course Mega Pidgeot and Clefable just make this a dirty, nasty team. I see a lot of stalling. I see that probably his big core each and every week is going to be Shaman, Melodic, and Clefable, with the rest of his roster being built around stalling out around them. He's going to probably rely on those three Mons, Melodic, Shaman, and Clefable, every single week as kind of his stall core, with the rest of his Mons playing as the switch in killers. Excadrill is going to end up being probably his top killer at the end of the season. I would see Mienshao or Reuniclus being his number 2 killers.
Yeah, definitely. How do you feel about this team, Regitube?
I mean, Reuniclus is just a scary mon if it gets behind a sub with, say, like an acid armor up, because you really can't break it, and then it can go for a few Calm Minds and just sweep your entire team. If they notice that you don't have a dark type, because then they can just run Psyshock as their single attack, and just break holes through your entire team after getting up a few Calm Minds.
And that's why having a knockoff present on more than one Mon in your roster is going to be helpful. Because you obviously are not going to try and smack Reuniclus with special attacks. You're going to try to go for more physical ones. But even then, you got to watch out for Will-O-Wisp to nerf you out and that kind of stuff. So his team is definitely, Virgo did not screw him in the draft. Let's put it that way.
All right, let's move right along to the Calgary Town Flames. Hippo. When you have Hippo, you gotta know, man, that thing is not going down in one hit. But he has Hippo with Charizard Y. A little interesting, because Hippo brings the stand. Charizard Y brings the sun, sorry. He also has Meowstic, a prankster, so he can set up... He has 2 prankster uses, actually, now that I look at it. In Klefki and Meowstic, which can set up the sun, set up the rain, set up the sand, I believe. Yes, they can. And kind of an interesting team here. Kind of all over the place, I would definitely say, with picks like Venusaur and Breloom. Venusaur does benefit from the from the sun that Mega Charizard Y brings. Sorry, I'm a little all over the place. And Aurora's kind of interesting. That brings the hail. What is this man doing? All right. How about you talk to me, Levo, about what he's doing, or what he's thinking?
You know, well, as a huge fan of Char Y, that's going to be a kind of important for him. Char Y is going to be able to make Venusaur and Breloom viable for his roster week in, week out. Definitely what I'm seeing right there is I'm super jealous for him in terms of being able to have one of the top 2 evolutions in his roster. The other evolution that I say is that, in my opinion, is up there as being awesome as well is going to be Vaporeon in draft format. Jolteon's nice as well, but Espeon is in my opinion the best, and Sylveon and Vaporeon are kind of the close seconds. Espeon just has the ability to be either a wall breaker on its own, a special sweeper, or just be a stall out because it has access to Heal Bell, has access to Morning Sun, has access to Calm Mind Spam, to where if you put all three of those moves together and rock him with a defensive HP set, you have a viable wall that people don't really know about with some decent speed. I see a little bit too much invested in certain types. Having Breloom and Venusaur while having Espeon and Meowstic kind of leaves him a little overexposed in two major typings. But I see that definitely week in, week out, his weather is going to be very important to his roster, for sure.
Yeah, man. So we're going to move right along to the Seattle Marowaks. Quite an interesting team this guy has got. He's got the another one. Yeah, basically. He's got Fortress, Diggersby, Azumarill, Charizard X. Not bad. I like it. And you got Levonant, Sticky Webs. You got Slurp to sweep late game. Sableye, another Prankster user. Electivire, Solid Electric type. And Regice, a nice Ice type. What do you say about this, Regitube?
Well, what I see is the Fairy Dragon Steel Fire Water Grass Core all in one in As If Fortress Mega Charizard X. That's like the first thing I think anyone would notice looking at that.
It's the perfect dual core.
Yeah, and Nidoqueen I see as a big part of his team, especially when paired with Fortress, because if you bring both of them, you can bring Nidoqueen with rocks, and then Fortress doesn't have to run rocks. It can afford to even possibly run an attack or Volt Switch to even get it out for momentum.
Wait, so you see Nidoqueen as a rock setter rather than a Scarf EP, Scarf Ice Beam user?
I could see it both ways. I could, a few matches, I could honestly see him bringing it with rocks, but not commonly.
Right. I know that in draft format, Nidoqueen's usually used as a Scarf wall breaker for select mons. Scarf Ice Beam, Scarf Earth Power, Scarfed. Whatever poison move it has that's power. I mean, as a fairy killer, that's I see plenty of good things in his roster. Levani's amazing low tier pickup with speed. Diggersby with a huge power. Azumarill with huge power. He's got two huge power users on his roster. That's freaking awesome. And of course the prankster Sableye. I mean, it's just dirty. It's a dirty team.
Yeah, man.
And then of course. But he does have he does have had a lot of grass on his team with Superior, Levani, and of course Fortress. Makes me a little bit concerned about how he's going to be able to rock all of them. I could definitely see probably Superior being dropped within the first week or two and replaced for better type coverage. Possibly a mon like a Zapdos or something, just to give him a better cover of the field, rather than what he has right now. That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, let's move. Yeah, definitely, dude. Let's move right along to this San Diego Latios getting a pick of their team with Latios. They have a pretty decent team overall, man. They got the Mega Scizor. I mean, they got the regular Scizor. Sorry, they got Scizor Ampoule and Metagross actually. Kind of interesting there. He's a decent spinner. Umbreon is just a bulk. Celebi, it's a great mon. It's a mythical for a reason. And Lomomola, man. This team's kind of all over the place a little bit. Doesn't really have an identity, I feel like. But Latios is always a nice team to any team, honestly. And Celebi not a bad pick. It just adds a little too much Psychic types. He's like 4 Psychic types, I believe, in this team. Kind of a little redundant with that typing. But what do you say about this, Regitube? We'll let you talk about this one first.
Well, I feel like he drafted a ton of bulk with drafting Furfrou as the tier 5 and Scizor and Metagross. But I also like the pick in Medicham because I could see that sweeping late game. And also Mega Gyarados getting up a Dragon Dance and just winning. And Celebi also with the baton passing. It can bat pass a Swords Dance, say, into Mega Gyarados or into Medicham, and having a Scarfed Medicham with the Swords Dance and Pure Power. They could just tear holes through an entire team.
Yeah, definitely. We're gonna go right along to the Shockies team right now. We're gonna let we're gonna let the man Levo talk about his team. Levo, what do you got to say about his team, man?
Well, first off, Shockey had a plan going into the draft, and it worked out well for him in being able to get that team. He had a late draft, and he did the right thing by bringing back Kieran Black as a franchise tag. There's very few other Mons out there that are more I would say, reliable or useful as a franchise tag than Kieran Black. That's what I'm saying. I mean, there's very few other things that I would definitely recommend if you have a franchise available to you than that Mon right there. His initial desire in his first set of picks was to finish off the Steel Fairy Dragon Core, and he got that with Mega Diancie and Heatran. That's going to be a scary 3 Mons to bring each and every week. Definitely see them being serious, situations for his roster. Shockey himself as a battler has improved, but the rest of his team I'm not too sure about. I really am not. He because of how he drafted early, he was forced to draft down the rest of the way. And other than Gliscor and Scrafty, the rest of his roster I don't agree with, because of what he has. Suicune is a good pick for his team. Snorlax, if he runs that 1 or 2 sets, can be work for. And, but other than Gliscor and Suicune, there's really nothing else on his roster that I really feel confident Shockey can make work. He's going to have some serious trouble each and every week building a team with diversity that he can actually rely on. He's gotten a lot better as a battler, but I don't see him being able to make a lot of those Mons work for him. Scrafty is one that takes a lot of finesse and planning to make work. Gorbis, you have to have planning to make work, and I just don't think that he's going to be committed enough to make that roster work on any other Mons except for his core 3 that he picked up early.
Yeah, definitely, man. Let's move right along to the Columbia Chikorritas. We're going to have Regitube talk about them. What do you got to say about them? And their rain team.
Yeah, it's a rain team. One of the main things that jumps out at me that I didn't really like was that they left 100 points on the board that they could have spent. Instead of getting like an Excelgar, they could have gotten a much higher tier Mon that would have fit more with the team. And, I mean, getting Quagsire was a decent pick, but I mean, I feel like you could just throw HP Grass on basically everything. Or not everything, but on a lot of Mons to deal with it. I liked Gardevoir. That was another Mon that got sniped from me. Hitmontop is a great rapid spinner. And then, I mean, they didn't really get their rain until later on in the draft as much. So during the draft itself, I didn't really see where it was coming from. But then afterwards, it came together a lot more.
Yeah.
If you see him dropping any one Mon in order to be able to pick up a higher tier Mon, if you look at the free agency listing, he has under free agency that he could drop for and that would work well with his team. There's Raikou available. There's Thundurus Incarnate available. There's Slowbro and Starmie available that could work with his team, even Crawdon. Which Mon do you think that if he's going to drop one Mon to better complete his roster with his theme, which Mon do you think he gets rid of, Brett?
I think he would have to get rid of Excelgar and probably pick up... Oh wait, what tier is Excelgar? Sorry.
Excelgar
tier
is
4.
Tier 4. So he would get back 60 points, which would put him just shy of getting a tier 1 Mon. So in the free agency tab, he could do that, and he has for his roster that would actually work with his roster. He has Kingdra, Slowbro. He doesn't have an electric Pokemon available at that point, but he does have Kingdra and Slowbro and Crawdon available to him if he wanted to keep his theme going. I don't know if that's really something that he should do, but what do you think about that? Which one do you think he would drop for a pick in that spot?
I would think he would have to pick up probably Kingdra, or possibly even going down another tier and grabbing, picking up. Where is it? I just have it.
Well, there's Sharpedo in there as well.
As well as Kabutops.
Yeah.
Is another Swift Swim user. Although it does make him very, very weak to grass, having 3 quad weaknesses. Which is why I think Kingdra would probably be the best bet for him.
Yeah. All right, so let's move right along to one of the best things I think, right? Like looking at it just straight up right here. It gets Ditto, it got Victini, it's got Mamoswine. You know, Mega Altaria, you can't beat that. What do you got to say about that, Levo?
Well, first off, Victini is going to be a huge threat week in, week out. The move pool is amazing. The power is amazing. He can use moves that have lower accuracy without having as much of a penalty of low accuracy. Victini is just Bay. He's Bay. Virgo is a fan of Victini. I'm a fan of Victini. Everyone's a fan of Victini.
Except for me.
I know, right?
It beat me. All right, go ahead.
The big thing that I love as well is he has the Amoonguss to support it. He has the Ditto to do scout work. Mega Altaria to be a complete douche late in the match. And really, he has a selection of walls. That's what I like about his roster. He has a selection of walls that he can use. He has the Vaporeon, the wall out. He has the Golurk. He has the Rhydon. He has the Registeel. Those are 4 vastly different walls that can get out there and do whatever he feels like he needs to do for each individual match. So I definitely can see him rocking 2 of those mons in each match, with the Victini, Mamoswine, Ditto, Mega Altaria being kind of the rotation threats every single week. Tornadus, and in terms of bench fodder in this roster, I definitely see Mandibuzz, Tornadus T, and Mamoswine being kind of the bench fodder in this roster, being the mons that are brought to a smaller number of matches. Not that they're not useful, but for what I would think his roster would be focused around. I definitely see the most used mons being Victini, Amoonguss, Ditto, and Mega Altaria, with the 4 walls being the leftover fodder for here and there kind of selection.
All right, definitely, man. Yeah, definitely. I apologize a little bit for Levo's mic sounding a little weird, but we're gonna move right along to the California Charizards. Let's let Regitube take this one. What do you got to say about that? About them? Sorry.
Well, Mega Heracross was another one that they sniped from me. I was looking for that to be my Mega originally, like going into the draft, and they ended up taking it in the 2nd round for some reason. And that was back when Mega Lopunny was still on the board, so I didn't really understand that pick. But I like how he has Blissey as a wall. Druddigan was another pick that they sniped from me, as well as Ambipom. They sniped a ton of mons that I was going to draft. Druddigan is just a defensive monster. You can put Rocky Helmet on it with Rough Skin, and it just takes any attack and deals back without even using an attack, with a ton of chip damage off because of the Rough Skin and Rocky Helmet, and also having Zapdos as a nice defogger.
You know what I love about his roster a lot as well, Reggie? If you look at his roster, there's not really a standout on that team, if you know what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. There's a lot there. I feel like his roster is the most balanced in terms of I look at that roster and I don't see really too many mons that I feel are week in, week out members of the team, you know? Mm-hmm. I feel like it's a very balanced roster. With a lot of other teams, you definitely can just look over the roster and go, okay, that's coming each week, that's coming each week, that's coming each week. And his roster definitely shows the most change-up available to him of any roster that I'm seeing so far.
All right, anyway, man, let's move right along to Saffron City Shuppets. That's Matrix, a.k.a. Bacon King. What do you got to say about his draft, man, Levo?
First of all, hate you, Matrix, you chicken sandwich head. If you guys watched my video about my draft analysis for my individual, my whole goal was to initially draft power, then draft on the first wheel, draft walls, and both of them. And he got the other wall that I wanted that was drafted and sniped from me. He got Cresselia. Cresselia is just an amazing just wall right there. He got the Rotom Heat, which is solid. The Drapion for some fun. I love his Mega. I love his Grassmon that he picked up in Roserade because it does work. He picked up Landorus T in the 12th round. Sorry, in the 10th round, which was amazing as well. That Landorus T was just chilling D in the 10th round. And for him to get what he's got overall, I freaking love it. He's going to have some fun this season. And if he doesn't make the playoffs or get definitely win his conference, we need to have a talk.
All right, man. To make this video, let's move right along to the God Stall let's move over to Mexico City Metagross. Let's talk about them. Regitube, go ahead.
Their team, I didn't really see where they're going with it. It's kind of sort of random. There isn't much synergy that I see between the Mons, other than like the Firewater Grass Core of Infernape, Swampert, and Whimsicott, which you wouldn't really think of. And I mean, Gothitelle is nice, but I don't really love it as a Tier 1 Mon. I've used it in other leagues and don't really think it's worth the Tier 1 pick. I used it back when it was a Tier 2 Mon. And I also see having Crobat, Mega Scizor, and Cloyster as your only hazard removal probably isn't like the best way to go with things, considering they aren't like Crobat is. It's not bulky enough to be a defogger really well, and Cloyster isn't really either.
Yeah, let's move right along to the New York Gigalits, who drafted a pretty interesting team over there. What do you guys say about them, Levo?
When I look over his roster, there's some fun there. I see a little overexposure in just what he's picked up. It's pretty fun, but I definitely would have, if I had a chance to be on call with him whenever he drafted, I would have asked him about why Steelix and Empoleon, why Empoleon and Octillery. It looks a little cluttered and a little bit random to me. Volcarona, Dragonite, Mega Alakazam, Porygon Z. Loving it. Love the Heliolisk pick. The rest of it, I would have to ask some questions about. There's not enough speed on the rest of those mods for me to really see a Scarf user be viable week in, week out. There's not enough power for me to see a solid week in, week out every single week designated wall breaker. I see a Destiny Bond spam with Frostlass, but what else am I supposed to see right there, guys? I mean, I just see a little bit too much clutter, and I think that he's wanting to make some points as well. But my biggest question, and I'm sure Regitube also notices this as well, 120 points left on the board.
Yeah.
What's going on there, man?
That's way too much. That's way too much.
This man also has a huge fighting weakness. A lot of fighting types get knockoffs, so that hurts the Alakazam. It hurts the Frostlass, and it basically
cough, Gabellion, cough, Hitmonlee, cough.
Basically, the Spurpuffs are probably the best team in this league. Honestly, probably they are the best team. Let's talk about them, Levo. You talk about them, and I'll talk about them, and then we'll end this. What's up, Levo? Talk about them.
First of all, Reggie, you had an amazing draft. We're not going to try and jack with you about there. I think what happened in the draft that really helped you out to get with, and you could probably agree with me on this one, everyone was kind of talking about Megalopunny before the draft started. And I kept myself very quiet about what I was going to draft first since I had the first pick. I did not want Megalopunny as my first pick. And I think after that happened, and Megalopunny, which is the fashionable early first two picks this season, or right now in the draft leagues, that's kind of the fashionable early pick. After I didn't pick it, and after Mexico didn't pick it, it was pretty interesting to see Megalopunny kind of just fall by the wayside, and you got it, I think, the 28th pick. 28th picks before Megalopunny off the wall.
And I mean, as I said earlier, they drafted Mega Heracross ahead of Megalopunny, which I didn't understand at all.
Well, at the same time, we do have three teams that left over 100 points on the board, so there's some confusion there as well.
A little crazy.
But for you to get the Hax core with Togekiss and Jirachi, a special Haxer and a physical Haxer,
Ranger
super
special.
awesome.
That's
Yeah,
Ranger
right?
special. That's my specialty. A little confused about the Maltham, not gonna lie a little bit. That was probably just a fun pick, but it's Lurpuff, not a bad pick. Hitmonlee, amazing, normal gym. Unburden, crazy stuff happens from there. Chinchino, Skill Link, Scarf Darmanitan, Dragalge, special defensive wall, concept T-Spikes, Air Slash, just a whole bunch of shenanigans, and on top of that you got 2 Mythicals. If you have 2 Mythicals, automatically you have an amazing draft, man.
Well,
All right.
the big thing I'm happy with on his roster as well, just some super coverage, Manaphy as well as Mega Lopunny, Darmanitan as well as the Hax core. If I had to change one thing on his roster, it is again the Motham, and that's only because of its being a tier 5. The only thing that I would change for you, Reggie, to make it more dangerous, in my opinion, is I would get rid of Motham and pick up Glaceon.
Well, he is an Age-Drive fan, so I can see why he did take the Maltham, though.
I get it,
if I can make it shiny. Yeah, no, it's not going to affect him too much because I doubt he'd bring Glaceon like 1 week. But anyway, man, thank you guys for watching, and we will see you guys later. Peace.